This is Greg Kelly. Donate now to Toys for Tots, which works year-round. Go to toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots supports children in need throughout the year with programs like the Toys for Tots Literacy Program. Established in 2008, it has provided over 63 million books to disadvantaged children. The Toys for Tots Literacy Program is committed to providing disadvantaged children with direct access to books and educational resources that enhance their ability to read and communicate effectively. Go to toysfortots.org.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
This gentleman is a big deal, General Blaine Holt, a retired Brigadier General, also a former NATO rep. And as I said, he's on with Katz and Cosby quite a bit, but making his debut here on the Big Morning Show. General, how are you, Blaine? Nice to speak to you, buddy. How you doing today?
It is nice to speak to you, and I want to be very clear. As a Georgia Bulldog, not a Florida Gator like Emmett, I am not as famous as Sid Rosenberg.
You may be, Blaine. I don't know. The Georgia Bulldogs, they've had a pretty good run. That Kirby Smart is pretty good. I got to hear from Deborah Norville and Ryan Seacrest and all these people. They've had a pretty good run. That's a great school, and you're a terrific guy. I've heard you, like I said, on this station before, and you are as famous, and you've done more important things in your life than I will ever do. So thank you for your service, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But let's get to where we are tonight, Blaine. You heard the president there, and he said it again this morning that he's ready, willing, and prepared to basically end that whole civilization in Iran. Doesn't want to do it, but he's ready to do it by 8 o'clock tonight. Would you like to see that happen? Are you hoping for a last-second stop? And do you think he will go through with it if, in fact, with all the things he said he would do, if it really does happen?
Well, he did describe the end of the range of options. He's got everything before him now that he can do. As a guy who's seen war his entire career, I can tell you I'm not up for any civilization getting vaporized. I hope the 90 million Iranian people yearning to be free see that their moment of opportunity is coming, and that's what I think this is really all about. I think when we talk about a civilization ending, I think we're talking about the 8 to 10% minority of these Shia clerics in Iran that have basically hijacked the state for the last 47 years, aided and abetted by many corrupt around the world. And I think their time has come. And I think that's what the president's really signaling. We're down to less than 11 hours, and I think he takes that deadline very serious.
And are we looking at the possibility, I guess we are, so how do you even avoid it, of civilians dying tonight in
There's no way that you're going to be able to do anything without, unfortunately, civilians losing their lives. Right. What we hope to do, and what America's way of fighting wars is to minimize that to the maximum extent we can. One of the things that we get into trap-wise is that becomes the news. Then if it bleeds, it leads. And, out of nowhere at 3 a.m. in the morning in Tehran, we found a wedding and it got blown up and a bunch of these civilians died. There's going to be so much propaganda, rhetoric, and false news tomorrow, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But through the smoke comes the signal, and the signal that we'll go on to is probably watching the Iranian people stand up, take their country back, and if they need a bomb here or a bomb there, we'll absolutely provide that 30 minutes or it's free.
Interesting. As you were saying that, General Holt, I was thinking about Gaza because, the war started October 8th. You know that, right? Not October 7th. Yeah. And all they kept showing on television was like a little Palestinian kid bleeding on a rock. They weren't showing the videos of young Israeli girls getting raped or elderly people being murdered or babies being thrown in ovens. All they showed was this bleeding little Palestinian kid in a rock. So I just went through all that nonsense with the media, with Gaza and Palestine, which doesn't even exist. More nonsense. And you're right. We're going to go through that again, the same exact thing again. What has happened? What has happened to our country that so many people, who I actually thought, General Holt, at one point was smart and patriotic and good people, have decided to just go completely the other way? They call me the bad guy. I'm okay with that. They call Trump the bad guy or others. What has happened to all these people in our country?
Well, welcome to fifth-generation warfare. And what I mean by fifth generation warfare is it's not as much about bombs and guns as it is about manipulation, information warfare, psychological operations. These things aren't just happenstance. They are orchestrated campaigns and efforts of all sides to twist the narrative, shape the narrative, influence people, how they operate, think, and do, what stimuli gets in front of them. And we live in a technology world now where those tools are getting much more exquisite than they ever were before. They cost billions of dollars, and they are being spent heartily. They come in through sources like your TikTok, your social media, and they are designed solely to reshape our young ones and how they think about life. Then if you add a co-opted education system in with that, we wake up one morning and we go, oh my gosh, what is my kid got purple hair and thinks these things? Not Ava, it's her birthday. We're celebrating Ava, but that's where I think we've gotten ourselves to, and we've got to be able to discern now. That's the number one skill Americans have to have.
And it did happen to Ava. She was going to school here in New York City. My son Gabriel too. Thank God my kids are smart and they've got great parents, but they tried to indoctrinate both of them, as you well know. You know, it's got to be disheartening for you, though, General Holt. Here you are, a legitimate hero, put your life on the line for this country. And, you know, I swore this morning, I swore myself off of Twitter. I just can't do it. I go on there every day and I defend President Trump. I defend America. I defend Bibi and Israel. I defend New Yorkers who are not in love with the mayor. I think I defend all the right things. And I get called just the worst possible names every day by people who are literally rooting against our country. They live here and they're rooting against our country because they hate President Trump or Israel so much. Did you ever think you would see that day?
I know they've been working on it for quite some time, but what this means is, Sid, is that the war, we brought the war home with us. It's come here. And again, the tools they're using are exquisite, and it gets into our schools. The time I spent in New York, my son went to a fine high school in Eleanor Roosevelt in the Upper East Side. And still, we would come home and unpack the day every day about, well, where do you think this is? Why don't we go down to our Argosy books and go get something that has some meat to it, and you can read all about it.
I mean, my kids didn't even learn about World War II or the Holocaust or Vietnam. Every day it was the same thing. It was slavery and civil rights. That's it. That's all they learned about. I actually went to the school and complained, and I was spending a lot of money. Private schools and public schools as well, both. So let me get to this unbelievable mission, which, again, you would think that every American would be proud of our effort to go in there and save an American airman. But they weren't. Yesterday, they were yelling and screaming, well, if not for the greedy and corrupt president, he never would have been there in the first place. Not, hey, way to go, President Trump. Hey, way to go, military. Hey, way to go to the United States. No, if this was this war, we shouldn't be there in the first place. So I'm having a hard time being happy for the guy. What? So two things. First of all, how disheartening is that? And secondly, how technical and amazing was this rescue mission, getting the CIA involved and obviously our military and President Trump and Hegseth? How amazing was that rescue?
Absolutely amazing. And it worked just like it's supposed to. I live not 30 miles right now from where the Air Force's Survival, Escape, Resistance, and Evasion School is. I went to that school. And I can tell you by the numbers, it just went perfectly. Every single element, CIA, the special operators, the PJs, the helicopters, everything went the way it was supposed to go. And we should all be proud of that. And that, to your point, you have to be able to be proud of that. No matter who the president is, you got to get rid of this stuff about, well, it was on President Trump's watch, so it has to be bad. That is an American Air Force colonel flying a jet in your defense, and that country no longer has nuclear weapons capability. So come on, stand up, pop out of it, snap out of it, America.
Yeah, the argument is that, well, we've been hearing about these nuclear weapons for decades and decades, and I don't remember any nuclear attacks on the United States, and this is more about Israel, it's more about the oil, it's more about money, it's more about corruption. That's the argument. And by the way, some of these people who say this to me, they voted for Trump. Now they're on social media hammering Trump and saying nice things about Biden. But they contend that there really was no danger from a nuclear weapons perspective, that they've been hearing that for the better part of 4 decades.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's going to all get sorted out. And I think what we're going to start seeing is newer and newer possibilities every single day after tomorrow. We have to pray that the right things happen tonight, and that's the best we can do as Americans right now.
This is Roger Stone for American Sovereign Bullion. Since 2020, the U.S. dollar has lost over 20% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to rise. Call 844-272-2428 or go to asbgold.com now to get your free gold and silver guide and learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver delivered to your door or held in a gold IRA today. So go to asbgold.com now. Don't wait for the markets to drop. That's asbgold.com.